it.
They present the popular radio program Political Platform on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
Hello out there, and thanks for joining us on Political Platform. And we are glad that you're there. At least we're beginning today the first working day of the week. Yesterday was public holidays, and we're facing the week with so much of the problems we talked about. Talk about the doctor's strike, which started yesterday, the second day, and then the continued ASU strike is on. The federal government has said that they are going to meet with the striking doctors on Wednesday, that is the 6th of September, to see if they can pull back doctors who have down their tools over disagreement over shortfalls in salary and promotions. And apart from that, there are other sundry political developments we'll be talking about, but mainly we'll be talking about development. How is it that the Nigerian populace, the people who voted, those who are in office, appear to be complaining all over, almost every section of the country. Those who are not complaining about marginalization are complaining of quick takes from the crisis they are going through. And the BENUE flood victims are a case in point here. The first set of people you will take a look at are those who are on the edge. They are at the edge of either they are in the IDPs or in the IDP camps, or they are facing the flooding. Not just in Benue, we have flooding in Ebonyi State. We have floodings across the length of the length of River Niger and River Benue. Some persons are unreported, some incidents are unreported, and so we don't even know that they are going through those crises. Now, we have talked about our crisis management. How do we get ready? How is it that we are not ready? We only just shout and cry over them when they come. What do we do to get everybody really on the hands on the deck? Criticisms have come the way the federal government have reacted to the floodings in Benue in particular, where the Salah party was going on in Daura with the president, and the vice president was holding his own Salah party and receptions in Abuja, where our brothers and sisters were in their need of just for somebody to tell them, we are here for you. Unfortunately, that was the situation. But some person said it's not the president that we should blame, that the president should not be compared to President Donald Trump, and that the society in Nigeria is different from the structure of the society in the U.S. Of course, we all vote here and they also vote there. Okiri Agbonsoremi is my name. We have mails from Political Platform at yahoo.com. We from you where you have your own take. You have your suggestions on how we can deepen the roots of our young democracy. We'll be taking some of the mails. Adebayo Bodurin is right in here. Adebayo Bodurin, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Ohira. I am, most of the time, I get worried. I am concerned that our attitude to natural disasters are things that is nothing to write home about. You have just mentioned U.S. When Hurricane Katrina happened, the former president, Obama, abandoned all what he was doing. He dashed there to ensure that at least to ameliorate the problem which the people are facing. Here we have been lucky in the last few years that our weather agencies or NEMA are now predicting accurately. We were warned that all these things will happen, and nothing is done. No effort is made until when it happens, and we just believe as if these things should naturally happen. The response of our agencies, the response of government, whether at the state or federal level, to some of these disasters is nothing to write home about. And I'm terribly worried that we seem not to attach anything to humanity again in Nigeria.
Joma Salmon is also writing on the program. Joma, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Okiria. Bayo went too far when he called Obama. Even just last Sunday, the present administration in the U.S. that's talking about Donald Trump also went there with his family, with his church members, and even when he was out, he kept telling them that I'm with you. So if we actually want to do things right in the country, I think it has to start from government. Let government show concern. Let somebody go. I know some of these government officials have been there, but the face of either the vice president or the president himself in BENUE, we go a long way to ease the pain of some of these persons.
Yeah, if the institutions were actually working, if the institutions were working, well funded, and we have reactions coming on promptly, one would just say the president can just sit by and what. But the fact that our society is structured that unless the president or the governor or the local government chairman takes a step to go there, or the sycophancy of the workers, those who are supposed to do the job, will not be awoken. They only just get awoken when they see the president move. But when the president is not there, the vice president is not there, and the governor is overwhelmed, then the people will just suffer. Dr. Amici Anakwe is also here.
The president is the symbol of the country, of the entire nation. The president going there is not that he's going to, he's just like we saw in the US, the vice president and vice president helping in the actual distribution. It's not that you don't have better hands to do it, but that symbolic value, that reassurance is to the people that, yes, we are empathized with you, we know what you're going through, and we are going to indeed help you get out of it. If you say the society is different between Nigeria and the US, is the system of government in US different from what we have here? We copy from them almost 100%, and the presidency is so powerful and is the symbol of the whole nation. If we expect NEMA to take care of IDPs, internally displaced persons, we should first take care of them. Their staff, workers are alleging that they are being owed allowances, backlog. If we don't take care of them, how do they work? How do they on their own take care of Nigerians? And more importantly, it's an issue that those in authority must address. I'm talking about the doctors' strike, resident doctors, and of course the university lecturers. Education and health are key components of human development. And in Nigeria, the drivers and operators of these two components are on strike. You can imagine what Nigerians are going through. You can't get education, which will indeed liberate you, and you can't acquire healthcare services because they're on strike. Those in authority must declare a state of emergency to resolve the industrial disputes.
And the Jewish J, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Ohira. In addition to what Amechi just said, I think that equipping disaster management agencies is also one very key area. A lot of times we set them up, they don't have the necessary equipment, they don't have the facilities to carry out their job. So it's not even just about the salary, but equipping them. Look at, like in the case of Hurricane Harvey in Texas, you see the kind of boats that are moving people out to safety. You see the facilities, the
helicopters.
Yes, the helicopters, all of them. How many do we have here? We virtually don't have any. And then even the cheap canoes, the village canoes, we didn't see. The people are wading in water, swimming in water, some getting carried away. We just set up government agencies and just leave them to collect salaries, doing nothing, no facilities to help them do their work like we have with the police and even the other arms of the security agencies. I think that we need to get our acts right.
Well, if you want to see the picture, I saw one at NDE in Abuja here. I went to the National Directorate of Employment. I saw beautiful professors, teachers, doctors sitting behind falling tables. Okay. They are just there, no funds. They have ideas. They don't have the wherewithal to employ Nigerians, to get Nigerians to have the skills. But they get salaries every month. You go there, you can see the frustration in the faces of those who are working in NDE. I have seen them. It's not that somebody told me. I went there when we were talking about the Amanjeri, and they took up one of those boys that we said needed some training, and they tried to fix the boy up, get the boy some skill. So I had the privilege and the opportunity of going there to meet with them there, and I saw the frustration in the entire place. So how do you set up agencies to work and you do not equip them? And when we even equip them and provide the facilities, they are stolen by the officials. The monies are kept, they are taken away through one way or the other. The facilities, they are taken away. Government keeps quiet when these things are stolen. We have the issue of the former secretary to the government of Federation apparently stealing, and everybody kept quiet. Like Yedu Aniagu will say on this program, you see a snake and we set up a committee to kill it. And the snake will bite everybody all around before you get it killed. And we set up committees, and the president was ill, he was not around, the vice president could not submit it to himself, and we waited till tomorrow. We don't know the outcome even weeks after those committees have been submitted. People still deliberately here, and we do not talk anything about it. A senator who was the senior police officer came up to say there's a lot of massive stealing in the police, and that some of over 50,000 of our policemen are seconded to agencies, to banks, oil companies, and that monies are paid. Instead of Nigerians to rise up and say, foul, let us look at this, we all keep quiet. Nobody is saying anything about it, and the police says this man is a deserter, and everybody is saying everybody is taking part of it. And unfortunately, everyone is involved in this police the stealing, that we are aiding the police to get this money. They say it's allowance. Everybody, the mosque, the church, the politicians, the big men, everybody, they pay, and that is why we are all keeping quiet. It's a shame of a country that we cannot really get something out. I'm wondering, where did we get to this corner? Where did we get to this location where we cannot all collectively take a decision that will help us, and we know what is right? Every Nigerian, if you call 10 Nigerians, they have all solutions to the problem, but who bears the cat?
Okiria, now you just answered the question I wanted to ask. Where do we start from? We've been complaining for over decades in this country. Every day we come on air here to complain. Either it is poverty, it is bad education, it is poor enumeration of workers or all that. But where do we go from here? It's becoming too much. I think the present administration is overwhelmed with teachers going on, lecturers going on strike, doctors going on strike, and more are still coming. So you can imagine what is happening. So let's ask them. What I think the problem we have is the institution. We got it all wrong from the foundation of Nigeria at its goal. And if people are calling for restructuring, others are saying we do not need restructuring this time, I think we still need to look into it. We need to table the issue of restructuring and let governments sit down, just like they said they want to do. They set up a committee by their political party to take a look at how they can tackle this issue of restructuring. We can't just wave it away. No, we need it.
Well, let's just pause here and take a break. When we come back from the break, we'll take the mails, and then we'll come back to have our discussions.
Bust it.
They present the popular radio program Political Platform on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
Welcome to the mail segment. I am Ifeinwa Nwobi.
And I'm Amaka Okoro. Welcome.
Let's start with this mail coming from Andrew Ogboro, who writes from Maitama in Abuja, and he says, please let me use your platform to appeal to our president that the way Nigeria is being governed is definitely not the Nigeria we dream of at this time. It is no longer news that the president was out of the country for 104 days for medical tourism, came back and sat over the affairs of the country for less than 10 days, and has taken a one-week holiday to celebrate Eid al-Kabir. This is sad. When the doors of our universities are under lock and key, when the hospitals have been shut down, and when BENUE State is ravaged by floods. Has the president forgotten that he has written to the National Assembly informing them that he has resumed work? Has he forgotten that there is no longer an acting president, so the buck starts and ends on his table? This is not the Nigeria of our dreams. This is not the change we voted for.
And still in that light, Kunle Rotimi from Ikeja in Lagos State says, if Nigerian public hospitals and schools are constitutionally legislated as compulsory for all public office holders, the moribund institutions will be fixed at global standards by the callous leaders who are predators. Nigerian leaders do not attend schools and hospitals that they build for the public. They prefer seeking overseas institutions, hence the incessant strikes in Nigeria. God bless Nigeria.
Reacting to analyses on the flood in BENUE State, a map from Lagos State says, dear crew, I listened to your analysis on Benue State flood and the comparison that President Trump and his vice visited Texas hurricane victims and helped in sharing food, while President Buhari and his vice, instead of visiting Benue flood victims, are eating sala meat and welcoming friends. And I said, what a hypocritical analysis just to score a cheap point. My questions are as follows. How long did it take President Trump to visit Texas from the time the hurricane occurred? What does the Benue flood victims need most? The visit of President Buhari and his vice to show off, or finding immediate and lasting solution to the flood and victims? Will visiting of President Buhari stop next year's flood in Benue? Why does the platform crew, especially Dr. Amechi, always like to propagate PDP's views and opinions just to show relevance? Did PDP government visit the flood victims of 2012? In Texas, many people gave support for the victims, and I'm asking, what has AIT and Ray Power donated to help Benue flood victims, other than telling us that President Buhari and his vice are eating salam meat? I want to state that there's nothing wrong with President Buhari visiting Benue flood victims, but must not do so because Dr. Amechi and PDP said so. Also, we should stop making unnecessary comparisons between Trump and Buhari because President Buhari has his own style, period.
And Adewale Lawal from Akoka Yaba in Lagos State titles this one as Restructuring Nigeria. The mail reads, I totally disagree with breaking this entity called Nigeria into independent countries, but I strongly believe that the only solution to the loads of anomaly in Nigeria is power devolution. Let the nation return to the pre-1966 cool status quo before the Kakaki boys disrupted governance. Let every state collapse into their respective regions, and if they must remain as states, they should be granted fiscal federalism. States should manage the social, political, and economic activities of their respective domains. They should only remit some agreed percentage from their revenue to the federal government. Then, the responsibilities of the federal government should be limited to external security, currency, and external relations.
And then lastly for today, Samson Enesi in Abuja writes on allegation of corruption. And he says, the whole world will be laughing at us as a nation with our new model of suppressing any allegation of corruption against government agencies. The DG of NHIS was fired because he opened up a monumental corruption in that agency by mere technical issues. Today, the press, even our dear political platform crew, have not, to the best of my knowledge, giving us any update on the NHIS fraud allegation. Now, Senator Miso is the point of reference and not the continuous police fraud raised. If the culture of leaving real issues to mere technicalities is not dispensed with, all our efforts on the sanctification of Nigeria will be a mirage. Time is not on our side.
And this is where we'll draw the curtains on today's mail segment. Do keep sending your contributions to us. Send them to politicalplatform@yahoo.com.
Bust it!
They present the popular radio program Political Platform on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
Thank you so much for remaining with us on the platform. Most of the time, when we talk about the expectations from the president, the vice president, and his ministers, we often forget that there are people who were elected in the National Assembly to make laws. And we know that without legislation, institutions cannot have backgrounds. They don't have backbones. They don't have the legal framework to even germinate, let alone be nurtured. Now, the National Assembly members are on break now. One would have thought that something should be done to even the time that we use for break in the National Assembly, the holidays that we take. Now, even during the holidays, we're also told that most times the Senate, the committees in the House and the the House and the Senate, they actually work depending on the emergencies, the exigencies, if they have bills to work on. And if you go to National Assembly now, we can also testify that indeed some of them do still come to work. But how much of the attention do we have of the legislators in this regard, developing the institutional framework, creating laws and making laws, creating the enabling environment for institutions to be strong. Who amongst the legislators take a look at things that have now, there's flooding in BENUE. Who is the legislator that sits down to say, how can we use the law to assist, to remedy, to solve the problem that is available with us right away? How much is budgeted for NEMA? How much is the state government budgeting for its own emergency agency? What do we do with the River Niger and River BENUE, since this flooding is perennial, it's always almost annual? Is anybody thinking? Because most of the time, Sadeba will say the president is not there, the president is not there. The president may even be there. He cannot do all, take it all alone. We will need Nigerians to come around, to force their legislators to make laws, call their representatives to act, rather than all of us just waiting. Like somebody said, the president could fly a helicopter to that place and just look at all the horrible things and go back. He's not able to do anything.
I think something is, for me, I think something is fundamentally wrong with our attitude and approach to governance. And I'm talking governance at all levels. I'm not trying to look at a specific level of governance. We, as a nation, from 1978 to date, we have launched with fanfare what was called moral rebirth in the nation. From Obasanjo's Yaji Declaration in 1978, when he was military head of state, to Shagari's ethical revolution, to Buhari's first coming, why, and so on and so forth, to Mamsa and all the rest. All the things were geared towards ensuring that we change our attitude. There's a reorientation, and that we have leadership by example. Unfortunately, all these efforts seems to have been wasted, and so we continue with an attitude to governance. We continue with an attitude to tackling national issues in a manner that that doesn't show there is a purpose. So purposeful leadership is still lacking. So if there is a major disaster like the one we are currently witnessing in BENUE, where are the lawmakers from BENUE State who are in the National Assembly? What level of noise have they made? Useful noise, not just noise for noise sake. Why have they been able to draw the attention of their other colleagues from all over the country to this issue? What have they done to ensure that there is an emergency sitting at the National Assembly to address this critical issue? Because when you lose one life, it must matter to a nation.
All right.
We don't care again. We just look at life these days as if they are like chicken that can be snuffed. Life can be snuffed out.
We saw some actions from some legislators in BENUE State. Some senators actually moving in with food stuff, bags of rice, a lot of other things that are taken to that place. I agree that some of them have demonstrated some practical, immediate response attitude to it. But what are we doing to solving the problem? That is actually the question.
Ohiria, we can't run away from this fact. It is basically an executive responsibility. Where the National Assembly can oversight, their own is to create the NEMA institution through NEMA Act and oversight. This money were appropriated, what are you doing with it? But in terms of operation, response is basically an executive responsibility. And the executive at the federal level and at the state level and probably at the local government. We asked yesterday, is there a BENUE State Emergency Management Agency? Which should be, and greater funds allocated to it. If you have 3 levels of government providing help, local government, state government, federal government, individuals and organizations providing help. Some of the news we're getting yesterday is that some IDPs in Makurdi had biscuit for dinner. And when you say we shouldn't criticize our elected representative, we'll be failing on our duty. Our duty is to hold them accountable for the action and inaction. It is a division of labor. Each and every institution in the society and structure has a role to play. And for media men, we must continue to play that role. And we must not shy away from it, irrespective of opinion. We welcome it. We welcome criticism. But I repeat, the federal government failed woefully in moving swiftly. That flood started Wednesday, and NEMA responded just on Saturday when their DG went to that place. It has never happened anywhere. And when you have an emergency body like that responding very late, then we'll begin to ask questions. The National Assembly members should oversight and find out why we have late response. I said it earlier at the beginning of this program that their staff are complaining. Read the newspapers today. You see they are being owed over 600 million in allowances. How did we?
It's just like you are owing fire service. It's just like if you are owing fire service workers, those who want to go and put you ask them when there's fire, you call them, and they are hungry. You have not paid them. Now it is one that we really need to take a look at.
I think that what Bayo Bodunri said makes a whole lot of sense, because if you look at when the Northeast was dilapidated, the legislators from the Northeast rose. They made so much noise, they drew attention to the plight of the people in the Northeast. And because of that, a special commission was, set up for the Northeast, to tackle it. I know that this may not be in the same dimension, but disaster is disaster at any point in time. Why the lawmakers from BENUE State may have sent relief materials, it's not enough. We're talking of a permanent solution. What have they done to call attention to the plight and the fact that it's a recurring thing in that area?
Annually, yeah.
Yes, they have to.
Ohiria, I still feel that it is not just a problem with the executive or the legislator. What have we done?
Even as individuals.
Even as the media. Yeah. Because the issue, the flood problem in Benue is not well reported. It is not really well reported. If you see what is happening in the US now, we have similar problems.
Well, I've been asked that question before, and my response to it is that if you go to the US, the follow-up on those stories, which have even become part of our own story in Nigeria here, is reacting to how government is acting. If the president were in Benue and the vice president is located to Benue, all the state house correspondents will be in Benue.
Then
we will report it. Now, if the government officials are not there, then the individual media houses will have to make their arrangements either through their correspondence, which they are doing. Now, again, you have to also look at the situation of the media in Nigeria. All the advert budget talk about all the major oil companies, the telecommunication companies, the banks, all the budget that they have for commercials and adverts is not enough for one media house in Nigeria to survive if you were to give them all the money. How do they generate these monies? How many media houses have helicopters like they have? You have the skies CNN, of this world, the CNN having their how many media houses will have helicopters to deploy to go and report an incident? We are still very, very, when we talk of facilities, we are still very, very low. But if the government officials were to mobilize, then the media will be forced to go to one location.
We had this same experience in 2012. It was well reported.
All right.
Every day the media carried.
Let's leave it to our listener and our viewer at home, and you have the opportunity to tell us your own view about it through politicalplatform@yahoo.com. We'll wrap it up here, and when we come back in another 24 hours, we have more to tell you. Here, here.
Bust it.